So we're going to shift gears here and we're going to introduce our guest. Our guest tonight is Carolyn Wightman. And I had first heard of her, saw her name and heard her voice back in 2003. If you were on the Zoom a couple weeks ago and I shared my story about how we listened to this thing called the Top 20 tape, yes, tape program. We had cassette tapes. And then we got real fancy and we moved it into a DVD program, or a CD program. But I remember one of those tapes had Carolyn on it. And I remember all through all my years in Shaklee since 2003, always seeing her name, not hearing her voice or any videos as much as in that first listen to that Top 20 program. But I've always seen her around, and I always knew that she was a prominent leader in Shaklee, and feel very fortunate lately to have had the opportunity to rub shoulders with her with this team. Our uplines from the Smiths, McLean's, and my upline, they collaborate and work together. And so I've been able to be on some meetings with Carolyn and just listen to her wisdom. As a presidential master coordinator in Shaklee. So you're going to hear tonight about her story, and I would probably say that she was probably in your shoes at one time, wondering, is this for real? Should I try it? Can I do it? Et cetera, et cetera. Thankfully, Carolyn did do it, and she went on, like I said, to become one of the prominent leaders in Shaklee. So I'm going to turn it over to Carolyn so she can tell us the story. So Carolyn, take it away.
Chris, thank you very much. And thanks to you and Lisa and Dick and the whole team. It's really an honor to be a part of this. I find it continue to be inspiring. So thank you so much. So I will just take a few minutes because Lisa's done such a great job. Let me find my, see if I can pull this up. Lisa's done such a great job. And what I'd like to do is, at your invitation, I'll just share a little bit of our personal story. And as you said, Chris, I was in your shoes if you're new also. And so when some of us tell our stories, I hope you don't hear this as like we're bragging about what we've done. I hope you hear this as a validation of what's possible and who you can be and what's possible to happen. So with my husband, Eddie, when I started my business, I had my university degree, and I had done some of those things that you get to do after you graduate. One of them, I have to say personally, was I spent time working in Washington, D.C. I worked right there in the Capitol Hill for a United States congressman. And then I went overseas with the Peace Corps, and I lived in a Polynesian island group in the South Pacific. And with those kinds of experiences, I then came back and it's like, okay, what's next? Because now comes that part of life where it's not just you get to travel and enjoy things, but it's like, okay, where do we go now? Well, I knew what I did not want to do. And this is what I did not want to do. I did not want to drive in traffic, be in a commuter situation, working in some office 60, 70, 80 hours a week, being told that I was going to work the day after Christmas or whatever. I just knew that was what I did not want to do. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I was real clear what I didn't want to do. And one day really changed my life, and maybe today can help to change your life. And that day was I went back and I actually visited my parents, and my parents were using some environmentally friendly cleaning products. And I said, well, where do you get those? And that struck me as important because I'd lived in the South Pacific. I cared about whether the environment was messed up, and I was now living in Southern California where you couldn't breathe and you couldn't drink the water. And I said, well, I'll buy whatever it is. Where do you get it? And they said, I think it's one of those door-to-door businesses, which of course did not appeal to me too much until one of the important lessons is who mentors you makes all the difference. And that's what Lisa has done so well with you all in this presentation and realizing that we're part of the team that mentors you. I was fortunate to meet Mary and Gary Loomis, who were both stockbrokers. They lived in the Beverly Hills. Their oldest son, Rob, who is here, who's now the face of the business, had just left for Harvard Law School. And so somehow this business had a different appeal, like it maybe was something that was real. And so my very first step was, as Lisa said, to become a raving fan of the products. Now, I was one of those resistant 20-somethings that said, I don't need that stuff. I'm bulletproof. I'm running. I don't, there's no difference between natural and synthetic. I don't believe in taking pills, all of that sort of stuff. But I accepted the challenge and I said, okay, well, I'll try it. Essentially like the 30-day prove it challenge. And I started using the products. And of course, it didn't take very long before I found I lost my cravings for carbs. It was easier to get up in the morning. And I stopped having that sinker in the middle of the day where you kind of want something extra. So one of the first things I did is I got rid of all the brand X in my house. And I said, okay, I got to test this stuff and see whether it really works. And then I was introduced to the business possibilities. And honestly, the person who presented was quite unimpressive. I was it did not strike me as something I wanted to do until it turned out that he mentioned how much he was making. And he was making twice as much money doing his Shaklee business as I had made when I worked on Capitol Hill for a United States congressman. And I looked at that guy and I said, if that guy can do it, I ought to be able to do half that, at least until something else better comes along. And that was my inspiration. And one of the biggest decisions is the biggest word, trust. And that is I made a decision to start a business because I trusted. I trusted the people who brought me in. I trusted the products that worked. I trusted that it couldn't really be too bad. I mean, if it didn't work, it wouldn't work. But when I made that decision, I actually made a choice to invest in the business. My sponsor told me that when I started my business, I needed to have $3,000 to start my business. And so lo and behold, I went and found $3,000, which I didn't have. Now, I'm not motivated by money, but I'm real motivated by what happens if we don't have money. And that is one of the things that has made me as interested in, as Lisa says, not only the physical health, but also the financial health and the importance of being able to educate people about why all the different ways that our finances work. And so, as Jim Rohn says, we've got two choices. We can make a living or we can design a life. And I made the decision that I would invest in myself. I would invest significantly in skill development, in personal development, in learning things that I didn't know because I didn't come from a business background. And I made the decision that if I was going to succeed in the business, I had to get better. And I had to learn how to do a lot of things that I had no choice to. This is my husband, Eddie, and we live in the Florida Keys. And one of the things that the business has made available to us is that my husband was in that classic situation of being the person who is the only guy who was earning the money that he was earning, meaning he was a light tackle fishing guide, world class. And when I'm talking to you about the Fortune 100s came and fished with him. He was booked constantly. He was literally world class. But when he was not working, he made no money. And that was the opening to realizing what it is that our business has to offer for us. Because as Lisa mentioned, we have the opportunity of not only creating an income, but actually developing an asset that can become an income producing asset that can actually create generational income. And so what were we able to do? Well, this is our son on the right who graduated from Florida State University. And one of the things we were able to do was allow him to graduate without student loans. And holy cow, what a financial difference that really makes. One of the other things that happened is he came to appreciate the value of being an independent business owner. And one of the most interesting experiences I had was when he called me up after he had graduated and said, "Mom, I'm really nervous, but I think I want to start my own company." And he was working on, he never left being a water person. He is currently the captain of this $5.5 million custom sport fishing boat, which that particular day had caught 14 blue marlin. He is the captain of that boat, and he is in the Dominican Republic right now, living his life of his dreams. But what he did is he called me and he said, "I don't want to be an employee. I want to own my own company and be an independent contractor so I can write my own rules." And so whenever the boat's not fishing, he gets on the owner's private jet and flies home and leaves the boat to the crew. And so something about the opportunity to think about being independent business owner is something that I just consider just a huge gift. And then, of course, I get to work with some of our master coordinator teams, this being Ray and Barb Madoran, wonderful friends and special people. And through that has come the value of being able to work in depth, because our business organization actually includes all of those Shaklee Pure Performance Olympians. And that is because someone talked to someone who talked to someone who talked to someone, and through about 12 or 14 generations all across the country, we were introduced to that Olympic group, which is now part of the Shaklee Pure Performance team. So we get to hang out with things and, trade our presidential master coordinator pins with Olympians and, get to wear their Olympic medals. This is Troy Dumais, one of our Shaklee Olympic divers. We get to hang out at conferences with the gold medalists and some of the Olympians who were with us at the last conference. We also have these extraordinary experiences in working with this world-class company, which you are invited to be a part of. And that is, we get to do things like, I pinch myself when I look at this picture and I go, here's Mark Kelly, who is the commander of the Endeavour spaceship shuttle that just had come back from being in outer space, going, 4 different trips to the space shuttle, comes down, and we have a Shaklee event underneath that very Endeavour that he flew, and we get to stand there and have a picture with him. Now, I don't know about you, but that gives me kind of goosebumps to think about it. That's pretty cool stuff. And then because of the commitment to personal development, just being able to do things like hang out with people that inspire us, like Tony Robbins, being able to have a friendship with Richard Brooke that goes back like 20 years through personal development connections. Being able to just kind of hang out and take a picture with Sir Richard Branson. And then, of course, this is the cool one for our younger generation. This is Pitbull. And I was a 305 as he's a 305. So when I had the chance to take the picture, he said, "Oh man, I'm going to give you a special picture," which I just thought was kind of cool. So we get to enjoy our life, but we can work when we want to, but we get to enjoy the world that we're in, which is, I'm a water person. I love coming to the snow, but this is where my soul is. And so what are people looking for? They're looking for something they can trust. They're looking for people they can trust. They're looking for all the things that Lisa laid out. That having a future that's possible, having the flexibility to work from home, being able to have fun. And as Simon Sinek says, working hard for something we don't care about is really called stress. But working hard or being involved with people that we enjoy, appreciate, inspire us, and we're challenged by, that's really called passion. And that's really where I come from. That's where I know all of the rest of us come from. And that's what we invite you to be a part of, because where else can you have a profession of network marketing where you can work part-time, you can be mentored by millionaires, and you can build a second income and get paid for life, actually get paid generationally. So people that are employee minded view work as a negative thing, but we as entrepreneurs view our work as an opportunity to live our purpose and to contribute to the world and to grow, just as Lisa has said, and just as Dr. Shaklee represents for us. So we're so fortunate to be a part of the philosophy that has been given to us by our founder. And Addie and I are very grateful to be able to have a business which allows us to live the life that we care about, and that our Shaklee business has allowed him to retire now and not actively be fishing. He got burned out by the sun, the environment changes, all kinds of other things changed, and yet we can still continue to live the life that we have. So my personal commitment is, you've heard me say this before, if we're not part of the solution, we're part of the problem. And I say that if we're not contributing to these solutions, then we're really missing out. And that's the invitation that we have for you tonight. So these are such newly challenging times. The world needs us. They need to know that there is someone that they can trust, and that we can do some things that we can offer for them physically and financially. And so the ways that you can look at your future, you can be a consumer, you can be an apprentice, you can be an intern, you can be a professional. Any one of the ways that you choose to be involved, we welcome you. And so your next step is really to make an appointment with whoever invited you here and say, I don't have any idea what those people were talking about. I've heard all these stories, but please take the time, because the world needs what it is that we have to offer. And so thank you all for not only the opportunity to be here, but also the opportunity to work with such a powerful team. And so it's our job, my challenge to you and to all of us is to reach out. You don't have to necessarily start out with people that you don't know, but start out with some people that you do know, people that you care about, the person that you would call and let the dog out if you knew you couldn't get home, the person who will pick you up if your car breaks down and go and get you in the rain, the person that will help you bring your groceries in if it's snowing. Go and ask those people if they would just be willing to give you 30 minutes so you can show them what you're doing, and invite them with no agenda. Just let them know this is who we are and what we're working with, because the world needs positive things that we have to offer. So thanks to all of you for inviting me. Thanks for being such a part of a great team. And let's go bring some positive stuff out to the world. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. Each part of your story, I wish we could spend a bunch of time just hearing more about it, and maybe we will in the future. But thank you so much. As you were talking, I was thinking that you probably didn't go from day one to day two and have tremendous success on day two. Can you say a little word just to those who are new or starting, and they're in that phase of they're getting it going, and just talk about from your own experience about that particular point in your growth, which led to some of these great things you're talking about, just to encourage them.
I think, Chris, the most important thing we can do is, the first thing we do is we grasp an idea. We grasp a possibility, which is what you've seen tonight, that there are just some things that are available to us in products and business and community. We grasp that idea so we can develop our mindset for that. But the second thing we must do is develop our skill set. And the development of that skill set really depends on where we come from. If we are someone who's already got 20 years invested professionally in human communication and education and running a business, you may not have as far to go to develop those skills. But if you start out like I did with no special background, our job is to develop the skills. And it is no different from starting to be a yoga instructor and going to, being able to do the poses that those professionals can do. It doesn't come overnight. It comes with learning the skills. And so, no, I didn't succeed overnight. Gracious. And I consider the development of that skill set and our skills an ongoing effort. So I continue to be committed to getting better, to learning how to communicate, because the world's changing around us too. And my real commitment is to our Young Entrepreneurs Program, which is to the generations that are following us, that get to see what we were able to see when we were in our 20s and so on. And so, we got to get better. It doesn't start out easily, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And congratulations to all the success you've had in Shaklee, and to all the people you've helped because you decided to have a Shaklee business. Not just those who benefited from the products, but all those who benefited from being able to be part of your business organization and the development and success that they've had. Congratulations.
Thanks, Chris. We never know what kind of an impact we can have, but we will absolutely know what kind of an impact we don't have if we don't take the venture, if we don't speak up.